Okay, I'm just going to show you how to do a leak down test on a two-stroke bike. It's one of the most important things that you can do on a everybody tries to do compression tests and so forth, but the most important thing to do on a two-stroke motorbike or two-stroke engine is a leak down test. Everybody tries to avoid it because it's not difficult, but you need a couple of specific tools. One is a plug for the exhaust or something to stop, to block airflow from the exhaust. And the next is a gadget to pump air and measure the PSI rating of the air going into the crankcase. So you can buy all this stuff from local hardware or plumbing suppliers. It's basically a small dial or a dial. Now you just got to make sure that you don't get a high rated PSI. Like if it's 400 PSI, you only need 5 to 8 PSI and you won't be able to have an accurate enough reading. If you over pressurize the crankcase, you will blow the seals. So you have to keep it from 5 to 8 PSI. 5 PSI is completely fine, 8 is completely fine. Some guys use 5, some use 8, I use 8 PSI. And then a valve to pump. You've got to make sure all these connections are airtight because you will get leaks. And generally, I find after a 5-minute pressure test, you'll probably lose about probably half a PSI, and most times it's from this gadget. So when I put it in and I pressurize it, I spray everywhere with soapy liquid, just soapy water, and most of the leaks are from here. And if there's leaks here and I'm only getting half a PSI reduction, then I know it's completely fine, the motor's okay. Anyway, so what I've done here so far, I've pulled the exhaust off. So you can see here, where are we? Exhaust gone. That will fit in there, and then I'll screw that in and tighten that up. Then here, it's going to be a bit of a mongrel of a job, but I've got to pull the airbox off and the carby, which I've just installed because I forgot to do the leak down. So now I'm going to go through, pull this off, and then I'll put the tool in the carby side, block that off. It's a 5-minute test, done. All right, and then because if you don't do it, you will never jet the bike correctly. And in fact, if it's got a leak, if you're pushing it in a competition or in a Vinduro or even in the hills, you can blow the motor. And the worst thing that you can do is blow a piston when you're 50 kilometers from your car. It's a long walk. I don't like walking. So anyway, 1 5-minute test. Good. Okay, I'll get started and I'll show you when it's all connected in. Okay, so I'll just show you what I've done here. So, where are we? Plug. Nice and firm, not super tight. I didn't use spanners or anything, but we'll see if that holds. Then, so that's the plug for the exhaust. So the pressure will go through the crankcase, and then, and if you don't plug it, it'll come out the exhaust. So you need to be able to hold pressure. Then in here, I've installed the, you can't see it, I'll just come around here. All right, pressure, all right? So that's just gone straight into the carby manifold. And then, so you can see, there's the test. Pump it here with the Schrader valve, and then we'll see how we go. Now, all I need is, where did I put the bike pump? Let's have a look. You don't need you don't need a compressor. In fact, the compressor, again, you've got to be careful about blowing those seals. So, bike pump, there it is. Now, I don't know how I can set this up now. Let's see. Maybe that might work. So, not professional, as you can see. Maybe this might actually work. Let's see. That'll do. All right. So, pump goes onto the Schrader valve. Again, I cannot reinforce this enough. 8 psi, no greater. Now, I can't actually see. Give me a second. Now, I don't know if you can see here. So I'm punching here. Just something to keep an eye on. You can see it's not going up. So I'm listening to the motor. It's coming out. There's a noise. Guess what? It's not, the plug's not tight enough, so I'm going to have to tighten that up. Anyway, let's go. All right, so as you can see, pumping, the plug in the exhaust wasn't tight enough, so tightened it up. But these are the things to try and eliminate the errors in the leak, to try and localize it only to the motor. All right, this is just normal part of leak down testing. All right, let's give this another go. Well, that was interesting. That was the first. I worked out where that leak was coming from. It was the decomp valve. So I'd had it pressed in for, probably was going to start it or something, so I'd press it in. So that's where the leak was coming from. Anyway, let's try again. Five psi. Just double checking before I pump it up even further. Right, 5 psi. You can see it coming down, so there's a leak somewhere. So I'm just going to try and identify where that leak's coming from. Okay, so how to eliminate these leaks to try and localize it to the motor. Soapy water, that's it. All right, so just got to try and work out where, and what will happen is you'll see it'll just bubble. Right, now rise it up again. 5 psi. Now, bubbles. There's leaks there. Let's see if there's anywhere else. Just while we're at it, let's just check. No. 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 All right. So we know where that leak is. Let's try that again so I can just double check where it is. So that's the Schrader valve. All right. All right, so let's just pull this out. Right, now, so this is the valve, so I'm going to have to try and tighten this up here somehow. It's got a screw in here, so we'll give that a go. All right, so just going to give this a go. A little bit of gasket goo, a little bit of Teflon. We'll see how that goes. Okay, tried resealing that Schrader valve, just used a bit of Teflon, so anyway, we'll see. If not, the thread was a bit stripped on it, so hoping it holds. If not, I'll work something else out. All right, we'll see how we go now. All right, so Schrader valve on. Let's get myself all sorted out. You can see that valve is moving. I don't know how this is going to hold. We'll soon see. It's still leaking, I think. Anyway, I don't know if you can see the valve. And look at this. It's actually leaking out of the thing. All right, so I've sealed the Schrader valve again. It's stripped or something. So anyway, I did the best to see if I can get it working. Otherwise, I'll have to go and get another one. Not now, it'll be tomorrow or something. Anyway, we'll see how this goes. See if it holds. If it does, great. If not, it'll work tomorrow. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I've just worked something out. See that? This thing is causing leakage, so I'm just going to remove it. So I'll just get this up to 6 psi. Let's see. I just put the clock on. I'm going to put it on for 5 minutes and we'll see how it goes. So that's 6 psi. Let's just wait 5 minutes. I won't. It's riveting entertainment, but I won't. I'll just log back on in 5 minutes. It's performing quite well, so it's gone down to 5.5 psi after about 2.5 minutes. So this is, even at this stage, that's a satisfactory result on the motor. So while we were just waiting on this, we've got about 2.5 minutes to go, and then we'll just have a look. And once you do the leak down, when you start jetting, so this is what's happened before. On this particular bike, the 465 over there, I didn't understand the leak down tests and so forth, and so let's see, I jetted the bike, took it away for a weekend. Just seemed unusual. So you know, it was loading at idle, so it was surging, and then I increased the pilot jet, and it still did it, but it ran sluggish. And anyway, all these weird things were happening. So anyway, I got it back, did the leak down test. Sure enough, I found the carby boot was gone. So when I go through the jetting, it's an extensive process. You always start rich and then bring it back to where you clean up any stumbling and so forth in the, you know, whatever range you're working in. So that process of removing the carb, changing the jet, putting it back in, testing it, reducing the jet, putting it back in, and so forth and so forth and so forth. It's probably, you know, you go out to the hills somewhere, it takes you, you know, half a day to get the jetting right. So plus the drive and all that. So what happened, we went away on that weekend, couldn't get it right, come back, found that the leak issue. That was an easy find, but on the other bike, you might see the little 175 there, okay, so where are we? So it's just on 5 psi, so it's dropped about 1 psi. And if we allow for some leakages here and, you know, different places, look, you can see there's a leak in there too, right? So just in there's a leak. So that would be the cause of the leak. And even with that leak and dropping 1 psi after 5 minutes, you know, I'm confident this motor would withstand 6.5, 7 you know, that 7 psi or 8 psi for 5 minutes solid without that leak. So anyway, job done, leak down test sorted out. I can now go ahead and move forward to closing up the bike, getting the carby on, everything connected properly, and move forward to the jetting. And you can see the wheels off here, over there. So, you know, it's a bit of time before that. I've just found the brake plate had a stripped thread on it, so I couldn't tighten up I couldn't adjust the brake, so I had to get another plate. Anyway, that's it. Leak down test done. So, as I was saying, I was talking about that little 175 there. So, that particular bike, I got it all mechanically perfect. I did all the jetting, had it all correct. I think I did a leak down test on it, which it passed okay. But then I added the boost bottle, which is one of these. I added a boost bottle, so you got a pipe that goes into the top of the carby manifold. Didn't twig. I hadn't restored the motor as well, and so took it out on a run. On the way back, pop, just blew the motor. And so leak down test, once you finish all the work, leak down test with your complete work, all the pipes connected, everything done. So no further work needs to be done on closing the motor. If you pull something apart, like replace a pipe or something like that, you can use that soapy water spray it over it to see if it bubbles up when the motor's running. You can use carby cleaner or brake cleaner or something like that, and when you spray it, it'll suck it into the motor and you'll hear the motor stall or it'll stumble or something. So there are secondary tests that you can use to test leaks. All right, so So that 175, I blew that motor, restored it, so I get the bike fully complete. The motors are fully complete, ready to go. I then pull the exhaust carby off, do a test, done, such as what I've done with this 490, and then once that's done, it's ready to go. You can start your jetting and it's fully complete, right? And you're not going to have any errors in the jetting. You can start the process with jetting, which I'll go through what I do with the jetting test or the jetting adjustments, and then you don't have to go back like I did on that 465. I spent a day in jetting, adjustments, got it correct what I thought, then took it out, it wasn't right, tested it, had a leak. So then all the jettings up the shit. So I have to start that again. So another full day's work. So for a 30-minute, 45-minute test, you won't need, it'll satisfy the jetting. Once it's complete, it's fully complete and it's ready to ride. So anyway, I'll do a jetting assessment, or I'll go through, when I get to the stage of jetting this 490, I'll go through that as well. I went a little bit different on this one. I started all these other bikes from zero testing, or from receipt from Mikuni, the brand new carb from Mikuni. I started the jetting from there. This one's been a bit different. I got the carb with pre-jetted by someone who has had experience. So they're a retailer, they sell these, and it was pre-jetted for a 490. So it should be pretty much. Hopefully, it saves me a bit of time. Anyway, I've been through the leak down test, the reasoning behind it. It's very important. You can do a compression test, which you can do, but it's not as mandatory as the leak down. This is brand new motor, so it'll have good compression. Anyway, there you go. Cheers.